Alright, this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm in Montana and I'm looking at trees that a lot of them I don't know what they are. It always surprises me when I go traveling and I go to a different area and there are different trees that grow in different climates. So I'm in Montana, I'm visiting my daughter at college, and I took a walk around the neighborhood. And there's a lot of trees that I can identify. I know that this is some form of an ash tree. And, you know, the ash leaves are very clear, but I don't know what cultivar it is. I'm not real familiar with, the individual type of ash tree that was. I know that this is a copper beech here. There's a lot. I know this is some sort of a maple. I can see the maple leaves, but once again, I'm not familiar with the cultivar. I have no idea what this tree is, and I know one of you is going to tell me those red berries are beautiful. In Montana, they get a bunch of snow out here, so I drove through some of the older districts and saw some of the beautiful old homes because I wanted to see some of the heritage trees. There's also a district in Montana, or in Helena. This is in the city of Helena. They call it Reader's Alley. Reader's Alley. And it's an old part. I guess there was some guy named Reeder, Reeder, who was a brick maker, and they put in a lot of bricks. This is back in the 1850s or 1860s.
A leaf?
I remember I used to read this to the kids.
The giving tree.
Look.
Oh, another one on trees.
Look at this.
I am a leaf. I'll leaf it here.
Look at that, though.
So we had a good time looking around. One thing I did notice is that most of the trees are not too large. This was an exception. This was a fairly large birch tree. I'm guessing it's a European white birch like we have at home. And we had a great time. We had a good time out there. So we went out into the Great Plains area, the ranch land, and there's a place out there. It's actually a national park. They call it Grant Coors Ranch, and it's a ranch that has been in operation since the mid-1850s, and the original owner is a guy named Grant, and then a guy named Coors took it over, Conrad Coors, John Grant and Conrad Coors, and Coors was the one that did all the real cattle work, and he did a lot of breeding of cattle. I found it very interesting because I like looking at the old construction. I like the old log cabin style, and you guys know that I'm really into old tools. So there was a lot of pretty cool stuff on this property. And if you're into old tools like I am, you will love the blacksmith shop. Apparently they have demonstrations going on here at certain times. We didn't get to see one, unfortunately. But I love the old tools and how things are done. And while we're there, it started to hail. We don't get a lot of hail where we live, and when we do, it's awfully small. This hail was actually coming down so hard it was hurting. It was painful. We were out walking, and it was like marbles from the sky falling down on us. It was pretty amazing, actually. You know, we're in a drought in California, and any bit of moisture just is such a refreshing feeling for me. I can't wait for it to rain back home. This hail it really surprised me. There's an old chuck wagon that they've got there. Apparently the Federal Parks Service took this place over in 1977, and they've got rangers and docents there that'll take you on little tours. They've got the old outbuildings, and each of the outbuildings are pretty much the way they've been, since the beginning of the construction. I'm sure they've done repairs and all, but you can see how they were put together. They've got an active vegetable garden, and they keep chickens out here, and the place is pretty much like a farm that you would see in operation. And the house is wonderful. I wasn't allowed to take my video camera inside, no photographs, but it's well worth seeing. The Grant Coors Ranch. It's about an hour outside of Helena, Montana. Everything's original in there, just gorgeous. And to imagine what it was like back in the 1800s when it was all open grazing. And from what I read, the grazing of the cattle in this area took place over 4 or 5 different states. And, you know, from Texas all the way up to Canada, you know, there was the open range up there where, you know, thousands and thousands of cattle were herded out. We did end up going to a brewery in Deer Lodge. And while we were there, there was a guy that sat down next to me, and obviously he was an elk hunter, and he had his elk call. I talked him into giving us a toot.